A Christmas Fintech Fable. Finnegan Tech, the protagonist of our Christmas tale, lay in bed on Christmas Eve and dreamt of a day in which he could own Banks, his father's money-lending business. Bank was a more reserved character. He was averse to change and enjoyed the comfort of tradition, whilst Finn aspired for a future filled with new and unexplored heights. On days in which fintech didn't attend school, he would go to work with his father, sitting in the corner gazing upon shelves and shelves of record-keeping books which tallied every penny that local borrowers had taken. Soon, after the departure of a disheveled pastry baker who visited Bank to plead for money to make her family's Christmas special, fintech began to wonder how his father had the heart to hinder the wishes of a young businesswoman. "Father, why don't you lend people money so your customers are happy and don't feel hopeless? She clearly has the means to repay you soon because of her budding business, but just needs some time to carry her over to New Year." Turning his head over his shoulder whilst casting his gaze at the floor, Bank grumbled, "That's not how things are done, Finnegan. The sooner you learn this, the better off you'll be." Later that evening at home, the dismissing silence of his son left Bank to reflect. Thoughts continued to cloud his mind. She deserves to make her family and customers happy. Fidgeting in bed, the bitter cold nipped at Bank's nose as he longed for sleep. Suddenly, the window shot open with a bluster of snow and bitter air, sending Bank upright in an awful fright. The howling winter wind had a peculiar sound, almost as though it was a voice calling his name. "Am I asleep?" Bank questioned as he got up to shut the window and secure the latch. At that moment, another gust of wind pushed through, tripping Bank over his nightgown onto the floor. Only it wasn't a gust of wind. He stared in horror at what stood before him. A ghost. Who are you? What business do you have here?" Bank trembled. "I am the ghost of your future. It is time you see what will become of you, Bank," he bellowed. Suddenly, snow blustered through the room, spinning circles around Bank and blurring his vision as he cowered for protection as they tumbled through time. They stood in front of the money-lending business, observing a weary Bank sitting at his desk frowning in a dimly lit room, while surrounded by what seemed like hundreds of record-keeping books. On either side of his business, he saw blooming companies run by those who had once turned away and laughed at. Bank's business had lost its selling point as competition grew. His reluctance to change based on what his customers' needs and desires meant that they sought out new alternative ways that accommodated them. "How is this possible?" he asked Future Ghost. As the ghost turned to him and they made eye contact, their surroundings began to spin again like a blizzard before settling. They stood in a bright room filled with smiling employees who tended to their numerous customers. And then Bank saw him. From within the crowd, he saw Finnegan Tech, an adult with a tablet device in his hand who oozed confidence as he oversaw his team's hard work. Walking towards his son, he glanced at the tablet in Finn's hand and saw a list of money-lending solutions like buy now, pay later, interest-free credit cards, and card issuing. Suddenly, Bank and the ghost seemed to be moving backwards, and the view of Finnegan got smaller. The last thing Bank saw was the name of his successful son's business, fintech. The following morning, Bank made peace so that his encounter was only a dream and made his way to work with young Finnegan by his side in silence. Change was difficult for Bank, but he knew he could not do it alone. "Finnegan, I have something to ask of you. I see your ambition, and you've worked alongside me for long enough to grasp what I do. Perhaps it's time that we implement some changes and prepare you to take on the business one day with your own vision. Whilst I cannot commit to vanquishing my ways, I know that your empathetic nature will help uplift the business to suit our communities." Finnegan's eyes lit up as he unraveled his vision. Investment in ourselves means that we'll be able to help communities prepare for a more digitalized future. With alternative payment methods, banking solutions, and so much more, we can evolve with our customers' growing needs. These solutions will revolutionize our consumer world as we know it. And thus began the new chapter of what came to be known as the digital age, where Finnegan grew his business while supporting his father's bank. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a joyous festive season ahead, your Unlimit experts.